I think now is 10 minute, 10 a.m. So we can start the meeting, Dr. Aksa, please.
Okay, thank you, Tunggul. Hello, everybody. Welcome to dental session in EPAN 54, and we wish you a very good morning and good afternoon for my colleagues in Japan. I'm Aksa Syuada, the program organizer of this meeting from Airlangga University. For those who just joined this community, this is a meeting among dental institutions in Asia that is organized on regular basis. As usual, we will explore updated and advanced dental science, and today we will discuss about digital orthodontics, which is commonly mentioned as the future of orthodontics. This meeting will be moderated by my colleague, Dr. Sari Sandy, an orthodontist from the University of Indonesia in Jakarta. And this is the hybrid meeting. Some participants attend in personal in the meeting room, in the venue, and some other attend from Zoom or YouTube streaming. Just because we have a very limited time, I will invite Dr. Sari Sandy to start and moderate this session. And I wish you all a good meeting. Thank you very much.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everybody. So nice to be here, and I hope everybody is okay and healthy because of this pandemic situation. We always wish that we all be healthy. And today we're going to have the APAN 54, and the topic will be the digital orthodontics, the present and the future. And we have already have our speakers. Unfortunately, the plan was with 4 speakers, and we only have the confirmation from 3 speakers. And the first presentation will be from Dr. Maria Purbiati from Universitas Indonesia. And good afternoon, Dr. Maria. Thank you very much for being here. And the second presentation, it should have been Dr. Eka Erwansyah from Universitas Hasanuddin. Unfortunately, he may not be here. And we go to presentation 3 with Professor Ida Bagus Narmada from Universitas Airlangga. Hello, Professor. I hope you are well. Thank you very much. Hello.
Morning.
Good morning. And the next one will be from Professor Ichiro Takahashi from Kyushu University. Ohayo gozaimasu, Professor Takahashi. So nice to be in the same event with you. Thank you very much for your kind presentation later on. Thank you very much. So without further ado, we are going to start the presentation. Our first speaker is Dr. Maria Purbiati, and she's our lecturer, my lecturer actually, from Universitas Indonesia. And she has many working experience, and previously she was the director of our dental hospital in Universitas Indonesia, and her interest is always in digital orthodontics. And with many working experience, I believe she will share very good insight for us about this digital orthodontics. So, Dr. Maria, without further ado, I'm going to share your presentation. Okay. Can it be seen now?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. The time is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Aksa, Dr. Sandy. Thank you for the speech. Good morning to the other speakers, the APAN committee, audience, and others. Yeah. Oh. Thank you for the opportunity given to me to share knowledge and research result. Yeah. Today I got the first speaker, so that I think in this first session I will share an overview in digital method related to orthodontic field. I will present a literature review in collaborated with my resident whom I supervise, that is Dr. Asmaul Husna. Is he here? 15 minutes for presentation. Sorry if I on a rush, yeah.
You don't have to be rushed, Dr. Maria, because Dr. Eka will not join. So just
because
take your time.
yeah, Dr. Eka na ya. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, as we know, orthodontic diagnosis and treatment planning has undergone many changes, such as analysis from two-dimensional moving to three-dimensional technology. Given this condition, it is necessary to understand the procedure and workflow in orthodontic treatment in this digital era. Digital orthodontics is the integration of digital technology into various aspects of orthodontics and related procedures. Orthodontic has experienced great development in technology with the use of computer equipment with CAD/CAM, computer-aided design, and computer-aided manufacturing. In traditional workflow of orthodontic, we can see in the screen, and traditional workflow of orthodontic procedure, the case documentation is carried out with plaster models, 2D images, and standard operation using manually orthodontic braces and wire bending. Yeah, it's traditional or conventional. There are many advantages to converting into full digital workflow full digital workflow, such as reduce time, avoiding repetition for plaster impression, reducing shipping costs, avoiding broken models, reduce space for model storage, and most importantly, increase patient comfort. The digital data and scan results can be stored a safer way digitally and easily transferred to various software. Digital workflow can increase patient comfort and also efficiency in orthodontic practice. But on the other hand, the limitation on the digital orthodontics is the high cost, not only for the tools, but also in software and training for medical personnel. I hope it is better in the future. For many decades, 2D radiographs such as panoramic and cephalometric have been used routinely by orthodontists. Currently, 3D imaging has developed quite well in the last 2 decades and found in various applications in orthodontics. Certain cases will require 3D images, such as impacted canine, facial asymmetry, TMJ abnormalities, and other craniofacial abnormalities. CBCT imaging has been considered a radiographic technique for orthodontic diagnosis and treatment planning, especially in situations that require a deeper understanding of complex anatomy of the teeth, maxillofacial bone, and their supporting tissues. The key to success of CBCT is the high resolution, because with the high resolution, which makes easier and better interpretation. Currently, dental impressions are now slowly being replaced by digital models and orthodontic treatment. The digital model can be obtained from direct or indirect methods. Indirect methods use dental model scanner, yeah, this one, the upper one, while the direct method is using an intraoral scanner. Several research related to has done to examine the accuracy of dental measurement among dental plaster, digital and 3D printed models. Slide, please. Yes, thank you. Suryajaya, Purbiati, and Isma research result was the difference of dental measurement and Bolton analysis as a conclusion of the measurement, yeah, were not statistically significant among them, yeah. Whereas Zambrina, Purbiati, and Jasaldi also doing research. The result is the more crowded, the bigger differences in dental measurement, and statistically significant, but clinically not significant, because the difference only between 0.01 and 0.1 millimeter. Patient facial photographic is important in orthodontic treatment because it is based on the need for facial aesthetic assessment and facial analysis. With advanced technology, facial photos can be taken with a 3D procedure. Photo scanner is a tool that can provide 3D images of patients' or facial surface. It can be combined with digital study models, and CBCT image will provide a complete 3D visual of the patients. The most widely technique for obtaining 3D images of facial soft tissue are MRI or magnetic resonance imaging, 3D ultrasound, 3D surface laser scanning, and stereophotogrammetry. Some disadvantage of methods mentioned, with MRI, the horizontal position can distort the soft tissue image. Also, 3D ultrasound can cause surface distortion. And 3D surface laser scanning can use damage damage to the eye. And stereophotogrammetry makes it possible to take pictures of face surface in 3 dimensions with a more precise and more realistic appearance without the effect of radiation. Experimental study proposed the use of smartphone use an alternative to photogrammetry. Smartphones nowadays can easily provide 3D data, including facial scans that can be connected to face scanning application. Using this smartphone, we can get a facial image easily and accurately in a few seconds, and as well as analyze easily in vitro shapes. There are several orthodontic appliances created with digital method. The system not only shorten time and reduce laboratory working time, but also allows doctors and patients to see virtual results before treatment begins, thereby facilitating communications, providing understanding treatment plans so they can establish better collaboration. For example, Insignia is a digital system created by using an individual digital to obtain the optimal position of each tooth and also to obtain the ideal final occlusion. After this, special design arch wires and brackets with an indirect bonding system are produced for patient usage. And then Incognito is a lingual appliance, creates a virtual setup to achieve the desired treatment result. Digitally adjust brackets and then designed to be placed on the lingual surface of the patient dentition. Clear aligner are transparent appliances that can be designed digitally based on data from models and oral scanning, are processed by CAD/CAM, then produce treatment plan stages, created a series of clear aligners to reach a program in tooth movement. Some articles conclude that aligners can be effective in controlling anterior intrusion, posterior buccolingual inclination, and bodily movement of the upper molars. On the other hand, aligners are not effective in controlling anterior extrusion and anterior buccolingual inclination. Other studies stated that a better stability to maintain oral hygiene and oral also periodontal health. Some authors stated that the use of clear aligners can reduce the incidence of root resorption. As we know, it happened with braces with heavy force. Yeah, and in several other studies stated that the current level of use of clear aligners is increasing due to aesthetic and comfort use for patients. Digital transformation in dentistry is recognized as one of the 21st century innovation. The latest trend and innovation in the digital era that is currently developing is artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, or AI, is formed by machine. The term artificial intelligence is mostly associated with robotic. Through software and machine, it can imitate human intelligence and skill activities such as learning and problem solving. AI is currently being applied in orthodontic. Research shows that AI can be an excellent method and tool diagnostic to detect cephalopathetic landmarks, assist in making decision of treatment plan, deciding extraction or non-extraction, or also growth prediction. For prediction, for example, our research produced by research a digital model to predict mandibulofacial asymmetry. Over the past few decades, the implementation of robots has also become one of the major advances both in the industrial and medical fields, as well as orthodontics. The advantages using robots are high accuracy and precision, long working time, not like a human has a less working time, and good efficiency and stability. Digital orthodontic application available today are useful for doctors and patients that can facilitate practice management, orthodontic education, patient reminder application and monitoring patient progress, application for model analysis, public awareness information, and others that can help patient and orthodontists in supporting orthodontic treatment. Teleorthodontics describe the use of information and telecommunication technology to provide a virtual consultation, advice, or treatment with face-to-face personal contact. This is especially important in areas with limited access of orthodontic treatment. And the last is a new mobile health-based technology platform enable remote monitoring of patient, an example, brushing behavior, using commercially available electronic toothbrushes and monitoring watches, and to collect data on patient brushing behavior, such as when to use, how long it lasts, pressure given, and which part are exposed to the toothbrush. And is the end of my presentation. In conclusion, currently orthodontic treatment is presenting many new breakthroughs. Various digital tools and will make orthodontic workflow turn to digital workflow. A digital workflow, it has to be simpler than traditional one. Digital methods are designed to support and enhance orthodontic treatment, especially in today's digital era. Thank you for the attention, and so sorry if I take more than 15 minutes for presentation. I give back to Dr. Sandy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maria. It's a really nice presentation. But however, if you have any questions for the audience, could you please just email to Dr. Maria, because at this moment we already have Dr. Eka. Dr. Eka is here. Dr. Eka.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. So, I'm sorry that we did not catch you first. Is it okay that we give you a time for presentation? Is it enough?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, and now is the second presentation by Dr. Eka Erwansyah, and he is the lecturer from Universitas Hasanuddin and has many interests in contemporary orthodontics, such as lingual orthodontics, mini screw orthodontics, orthognathic surgery, and so on. So we will have the presentation from Dr. Eka. Please, Dr. Eka, you have 15 minutes for presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay. Please allow me to share screen. Host disabled.
Okay, Dr. Eka, please.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Display. Okay.
Yes, it is really clear presentation.
Okay. The title of my presentation is Myofunctional Orthodontic Therapy from Virtual with Teledentistry. Okay. Okay, before I start, I will to see you about my favorite slide. This is my favorite slide. Okay. This is let's describe about the field of conventional orthodontic and myofunctional orthodontic. If you learn conventional orthodontic and then you move to learn myofunctional orthodontic, it means you swim from a small pool and then you move to a big one. Yeah? You will experience a very big challenge. Very, very big challenge. Okay, let's start to learn about my presentation. Digital technology influencing dentists to diagnosis, plan treatment, and deliver care to patient. Okay, teledentistry is undergoing significant change to do technology. Who introduced term of teledentistry in 1997? Praktik, jadi praktek menggunakan atau using video conferencing technology to diagnosis and provide advice about treatment over distance. Jadi maaf kalau saya menggunakan bilingual. Yes. Jadi teknologi ini bagaimana kita mengkombinasikan telekomunikasi and dentistry, combining telecommunication and dentistry. Oke, teledentistry involve this exchange. Bagaimana teledentistry membantu kepada kita untuk melakukan pertukaran informasi klinis, foto-foto, video dalam jarak jauh untuk kebutuhan konsultasi dan penyusunan rencana perawatan. Teledentistry has ability to improve access oral healthcare, improve the delivery of oral healthcare, and lower its cost. Ya, membantu pasien dalam hal ini teledentistry membantu pasien untuk mendapatkan mengakses pelayanan perawatan, juga membantu kita para dokter untuk memberikan layanan perawatan, dan tentunya dengan harga, dengan biaya yang sangat murah dibanding dengan direct care. Menurut American Dental Association, teledentistry biasanya dilakukan dengan 4 cara, 4 different ways. Live video, bisa melibatkan satu arah ya atau 2 arah antara pasien dengan dokternya. Ya, kemudian juga cara yang kedua, store and forward, di mana kita bisa memforward atau kita mengirim bahan-bahan untuk menyusun diagnosis seperti misal foto intraoral, foto ekstraoral, X-ray, ya. Kemudian yang ketiga, bagaimana mengendalikan to remote patient monitoring, bagaimana memonitor atau mengendalikan pasien dari jarak jauh, bagaimana mengontrol mereka, terutama karena saya seorang ortodontis, bagaimana saya mengendalikan how to control in the patient, the location so far, but I can control this patient. Mobile health. This from the teledentistry use mobile device like smartphone, tablet, computer, and personal digital assistant provide dental health education to. Oke. Ini merupakan satu model untuk membangun bisnis, ya, membangun bisnis terutama dalam hal bisnis praktek dokter gigi. Banyak ortodontis, general praktis, dental higienis membangun atau melaksanakan program myofunctional therapy sebagai bagian dari perawatan integral mereka. Nah, sedangkan juga dalam waktu yang bersamaan banyak dental provider yang berpengalaman membangun praktek mereka dengan menggunakan teledentistry untuk memperluas jam kerja maupun jangkauan pasien untuk mendapatkan perawatan dan mengurangi waktu pasien untuk mengunjungi dokternya, mengurangi jarak tempuh. Oke, ini juga bagaimana hasil praktek kita bisa kita evaluasi, kita bisa diskusikan kembali dengan pasien, tentunya dengan jarak yang tidak perlu pasien ketemu dengan kita memanfaatkan teknologi yang ada. Lalu bagaimana dengan myofunctional therapy? So, how about myofunctional therapy? Dalam hal ini myofunctional exercise, ya. Bisakah kita melakukan pelatihan kepada pasien dalam jarak jauh? Ya, itu yang akan kita pelajari hari ini. Sebelumnya, mari kita ketahui dulu apa itu maksudnya. What myofunctional exercise? What is myofunctional exercise? Myofunctional exercise is a part of interceptic orthodontic treatment, which is employed yang diberikan pada usia tumbuh kembang yang bisa mengurangi maloklusi dental maupun skeletal. Ya. Myofunctional therapy meliputi penguatan lidah, ya, in strengthening of the tongue and orofacial muscle dengan cara mengajarkan teaching individual how to reposition muscle. Bagaimana kita mereposisi otot-otot ke posisi yang paling mendekati normal. Reposisi muscle to appropriate position. Ya, reduksi ini atau pekerjaan ini biasa dilakukan pada anak mulai usia 6 tahun hingga usia yang lebih tua, lebih dewasa, terutama pada usia tumbuh kembang. Usia tumbuh kembang ini biasanya kalau pada laki-laki umur 14 tahun, pada wanita biasanya umur 12 tahun. Tujuan, the goal of myofunctional exercise. Yang pertama adalah digunakan untuk memperbaiki fungsi otot lidah dan otot-otot wajah. Ya. Nah, kemudian otot-otot lidah ini palatal tongue rest position, kemudian menelan, kemudian pernapasan hidung itu yang dikoreksi. Lalu juga bagaimana mengkoreksi disfungsi, correcting dysfunctional habit pattern, pola disfungsi yang disebabkan oleh adanya kebiasaan buruk di sekitar rongga mulut. Myofunctional practice with teledentistry. Dentists and dental hygienists, orthodontists too, are finding success implementing teledentistry as part of their myofunctional therapy programs. Ya, ada program namanya Teleden, ini aplikasi yang bisa membantu para dokter untuk menerapkan teledentistry. Myofunctional practice ya, membantu para dokter untuk melakukan pelatihan dan evaluasi di mana akan difokuskan pada otot-otot di sekitar pipi, lidah, bibir ya, untuk mendapatkan posisi atau fungsi yang benar, yang normal. Nah, ini pertanyaan tadi, can we deliver myofunctional therapy program virtual with teledentistry? Okay, let's to know the answer. This is exercise that we can do, we can to learn, we can to teach to pasien dalam jarak yang jauh, ya. Lip exercise jadi melatih bibir, dan ini kita bisa instruksikan dalam secara jarak jauh. Kita bisa menggunakan misalnya Zoom seperti ini. Kita meminta bantuan orang tuanya agar di sana juga dia menggunakan aplikasi yang sama sehingga kita bisa melakukan teledentistry dengan menggunakan properti aplikasi untuk komunikasi jarak jauh yang ada videonya. Ini dalam kesempatan lain kita akan lebih teknis untuk menjelaskan ini. Tapi untuk pertemuan ini benar-benar hanya untuk memperlihatkan bahwa itu bisa dilakukan. Ini melatih pernapasan, kita juga bisa ajarkan dari jarak jauh, posisi bernapas pada saat duduk, pada saat berdiri dan pada saat tidur. Ini bisa dilatih dari jarak jauh melalui teledentistry. Ini salah satu contoh. This is a sample of video di mana kita aja bisa memperlihatkan kepada pasien, misalnya untuk melatih pernapasan. Ya, baik, saya coba putarkan. Sebenarnya ini video yang bisa kita kirimkan ke pasien atau bisa kita putarkan melalui Zoom dan kita diskusikan, kita ajarkan kepada pasien. Ya, posisi bernapas ringan ini bertujuan untuk memperbaiki pernapasan yang biasanya melalui mulut, sekarang harus diajarkan supaya pasien bernapas melalui hidung. Nah, kalau di Zoom kita bisa jelaskan secara detail cara kepada pasien itu bagaimana seharusnya dia bernapas. Teknik pernapasan kita bisa latih. Kita bisa latihkan kepada pasien. Ya, nah, posisi duduk harus dalam posisi tegak. Biasanya anak-anak, orang tua tidak pernah melatih secara benar karena memang biasanya orang tua tidak tahu seperti apa seharusnya. Ini sekarang posisi berbaring. Ya, posisi baring ini penting karena anak-anak memiliki jam tidur yang cukup banyak. Jika dia pada saat tidur bernapas melalui mulut, maka pasti akan tercipta maloklusi dalam proses tumbuh kembangnya. Pernapasan perut menunjukkan bahwa si anak bernapas dengan benar. Ya. Oke, sama ini tadi sudah. Oke, sekarang ini juga penting untuk diketahui pernapasan hidung, bagaimana cara anak-anak yang biasanya tersumbat hidungnya pulang dari sekolah, hidungnya tersumbat, minum es di sekolahnya, malam tidak bisa bernapas melalui hidung. Ini bisa diajarkan baik kepada pasien maupun kepada orang tuanya. Mohon maaf kepada panitia jika pemutaran video ini butuh waktu, tapi tidak banyak kok, rata-rata 1 menit, tidak sampai. Ini cara kita clearing bagaimana melatih. Nah, ini cara melatih hidung tersumbat. Ini sudah melalui penelitian ya, bahwa cara-cara tersebut terbukti mampu mengkoreksi pernapasan melalui hidung yang tersumbat. Oke, video berikutnya. Nah, ini pernapasan pada saat melangkah. Banyak anak-anak ketika melangkah, tadinya pernapasan melalui hidung benar. Tapi ketika dia berjalan atau berlari, ternyata dia mengalami kebiasaan yang salah. Langsung mulutnya terbuka dan pernapasannya berubah jadi dari pernapasan hidung menjadi pernapasan mulut. Ini kita latih, ya, tekniknya lebih rinci mungkin pada saat sesi suatu saat nanti ada pada materi berikutnya saya akan lebih merinci bagaimana detail dari tindakan ini, dari latihan ini. Ya, berikutnya penjelasan dulu tentang latihan lidah. Latihan lidah ini yang bisa kita ajarkan baik secara langsung kepada pasien maupun secara jarak jauh. Ada 4 ini tekniknya, ada 4 S yang perlu diajarkan pada saat ke pasien, yaitu spotting exercise, salivasi exercise, squeezing exercise, dan swallow exercise. Ini 4 hal yang perlu disampaikan kepada pasien dan perlu dilatih kepada pasien. Ini contoh pasien-pasien kami di RSGM yang dikerjakan oleh para residen kami. Mereka melatih pasiennya untuk melakukan posisi lidah dan melakukan proses melatih penelanan yang benar. Ini contoh bagaimana melatih posisi lidah videonya. tongue exposition bertujuan membantu anak-anak mengetahui posisi ujung lidah yang tepat. Kebanyakan anak-anak yang memiliki kebiasaan buruk tidak bisa menempatkan lidahnya pada posisi yang benar. Nah, ini hal yang selama ini luput dari apakah dari orang tua maupun dari para dokter gigi, ya, yang tidak pernah memperhatikan apakah pasiennya sudah melakukan proses itu secara benar. Nah, video ini akan memperlihatkan kepada pasien di mana lidahnya seharusnya berada. Lidah yang tidak menyentuh palatum akan membuat palatum menjadi tidak berkembang. Ketika palatum tidak berkembang, maka pasti akan terjadi crowded atau palatum sempit. Ya, oke. Ya, ini tongue click. Ini latihan ini bagaimana memperkuat otot lidah dengan cara seperti yang kita lakukan pada masa anak-anak, latihan membunyikan lidah. Kalau dulu waktu kita masih kecil, membunyikan lidahnya seperti main-main. Ya. Nah, dilatih anak-anak supaya mengkeletok lidahnya, ya. Nah, anak-anak yang memiliki kebiasaan buruk biasanya susah untuk membunyikan lidahnya itu. Jika lidah susah bunyi, berarti lidahnya tidak cukup kuat. Tidak cukup kuat berarti tidak cukup untuk memberikan rangsangan kepada palatum. Nah, ini yang perlu dikoreksi. Sekarang latihan untuk minum. Bagaimana menelan? Latihan menelan. Bagaimana latihan menelan yang benar? Nah, video-video ini sekali lagi bisa kita kirim secara jarak jauh, kita secara teledentistry, dan kita membimbing pasien kita tanpa pasien harus berada di klinik kita. Yang penting di sana, di rumahnya, orang tua pasien bisa memutarkan atau bisa membuka satu aplikasi, misalnya Zoom atau video call, tapi lebih baik kalau Zoom, mungkin lebih familiar. Anak-anak juga sudah biasa, mereka teledentistry, sekolahnya biasanya sekolah online pasti tahu dia menggunakan Zoom. Itu latihan menelan. Sekarang latihan minum. Latihan menelan. Latihan minum mengajarkan kita cara menelan pada saat minum. Nah, pada anak-anak yang memiliki kebiasaan buruk, pasti menelannya tidak benar. Kadang harus menjulurkan lidahnya dulu baru bisa menelan. Menelan dalam posisi harus tegak. Selalu kita membiasakan anak-anak pada posisi tegak karena penelitian membuktikan bahwa postur anak akan mempengaruhi ada atau tidak adanya maloklusi. Ya, oke. Begini menjelang terakhir. Bagaimana memfollow up? Myofunctional follow up. Myofunctional treatment with teledentistry can help dentists during follow up and discussion of treatment plan. Ya, oke. Sementara menggunakan teledentistry selama myofunctional exercise can help dentists monitor patient condition and their myofunctional therapy. Conclusion, myofunctional treatment and teledentistry complementing each other in helping dentists monitor patient condition and their myobrace activity. Myobrace activities including myofunctional exercise. Thank you. Thank you. This is my presentation. Semoga bermanfaat. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Eka. A very interesting presentation. And after this, we open the questions session. Is there any questions from the audience, please? I have one question, Dr. Eka, if I may. What is the duration and the frequency which is effective when you give the training for the tongue postural?
Okay. Duration. The exercise have 2 steps, 4 steps.
Mm-hmm.
4 steps. Each step need 3 months, 3 until 4 months. Okay. And the first step is very important to remove all about habit, to correct habitual. Okay.
How do you evaluate that the habitual the habits have diminished?
Okay.
How do you evaluate that, Doc?
How do you
evaluate?
Evaluate. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I evaluate the change of the first step. Okay. All my patients change about profile. They change the lips or cheek or tongue. Dia semua mengalami perubahan lah gitu. Oke. Sayang sekali, mungkin di lain waktu kita bisa melihat khusus case report ya. Case report about this case. This therapy.
This therapy. So it will be a great topic for our next meeting.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Eka. Very nice presentation. Then thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, the audience, please welcome the presentation from Professor Dr. Ida Bagus Narmada, Dr. Gigi Specialist Orthodontic Consultant. He is a professor in Orthodontic Department in the Faculty of University of Erlangga. And he is also the head of the doctoral program of the Faculty of Dentistry, Universitas Erlangga. Hello, Professor Narmada.
Hello, Dr. Sari Sandi.
Yes, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you for your introduction.
Yes, you may start the presentation, Prof. Thank you.
Thank you for my colleagues and also attended in this morning, and also all the students and residents from University of Indonesia, University of Makassar, and also from Surabaya, University of Erlangga. This I share my slide. First of all, I want to congratulate for 54th Asia Pacific Advanced Network APAN meeting dental telemedicine. Thank you, Dr. Aksa. My topic, future digital orthodontic using compute tomography, CBCT 3D analysis in daily practice. The digital technology has contributed to improve and simple diagnosis, treatment planning, and execution in orthodontic. Among CAD or CAM system, computer-aided design, computer-aided manufacturing application in orthodontic. The digitization for orthodontic diagnosis, treatment planning using intraoral scanner, as mentioned by Dr. Maria. And also, their scan are considered as accurate, if not more accurate than a pressure model. This is the picture of the oral scanner. Yeah. So now I have been using in our clinic. It's also for digital model, as a student in orthodontics should be replaced from the from the model plaster gypsum, and then now using the scanner for model. So the cone-beam topography has probably been one of the most revolutionary innovations in the field of dentistry in the past decade, and the provide platform for orthodontic diagnosis and treatment planning. Clinical significance of CBCT provide an excellent tool for accurate diagnosis, more predictable treatment planning, more efficient patient management and education, improved treatment outcome, and patient satisfaction. What we can see, we cannot diagnose. What can see, we can diagnose with the proper knowledge and technology. So curing imaging techniques are essential two-dimension representation of three-dimension object and suffer from several limitations. So before we go to 3D dimension, in our clinic using a 2-dimension like cephalometry and also like OPG. Comprehensive visualization and record of the craniofacial complex have always been important goal in orthodontic imaging. These tasks have routinely been performed by means of plaster model, photograph, and radiograph. Complexity of the craniofacial complex, dentition, and airway present challenge in obtaining conventional image. CBCT has image advantage of conventional imaging that can lead to improved visualization. This picture is CBCT changing orthodontic with respect to clinically assessing patient and improving with respect to diagnosis, clinical techniques, and outcome. The application CBCT varies in orthodontic tasks from simple to more advanced. It also takes glimpse into a future to determine how CBCT may become a normal part of health technology orthodontic treatment. This is practical application of CBCT. Application related to a dental specialist. From this picture, endodontic is 25.6%. How about the orthodontic? Orthodontic is 11.6%, and others, oral surgery, implant technology, general dentistry, TMG, periodontic, forensic dentistry, and oral maxillofacial surgery. The significant clinical situation, specific clinical situation for which CBCT is used, impacted supernumerated craniofacial anomalies, TMG assessment, upper airway analysis, maxillofacial development, and others. The benefit and evidence-based indication CBCT in orthodontic. CBCT can be prescribed for patients with a facial asymmetry, cleft palate, or obstructive sleep apnea. About airway analysis, the CBCT technology provides a major improvement in the airway analysis, allowing for its 3D and volumetric analysis. You can show in this picture. For spot, this can for student can study or learn from the ebook, 3D diagnosis treatment planning in orthodontic. So also a TMG can detect in the CBCT picture. This is the article from Impact Combined Compute Tomography on Orthodontic Diagnosis and Treatment Planning from AGODO. So CBCT scan should be ordered only when there is a clear, specific, individual clinical justification. So must be selective. Not only all the patients must be make CBCT. How about radiation? Radiation dose of CBCT in orthodontic connect to with the field of view from 15 times 15 centimeter is the height dose for the field of view. Practitioners should always follow the basic ALARA directive in radiation protection, keeping radiation as low as reasonable achievable. A more informed and specific directive is radiation protection in the ALA-DAVE principle in requiring practitioners to keep radiation as low as diagnostically acceptable, being indication-oriented and patient-specific. This is field of view, the picture field of view, the safety first for the patient, as low as reasonable acceptable, as low as diagnostic acceptable. How about dose? Range effective dose reported in literature. Panoramic radiography 6 until 38, cephalometric radiographic 2 until 10, and CBCT 5.3 until 1025, medical head CT 1000 until 2000 microsieverts. This is clinical and radiographic finding, region image view of field of view, so impacted, individual teeth, and small field of view, but TMG localized asymmetry, bounded condition, cleft lip and palate, when condition interest present in both arts, both of jaw, including TMG, medium to large of field of view, and orthogonatic surgery, craniofacial anomaly, moderate to severe facial asymmetry, or full head, large extended field of view. If the field of view of CBCT is increased, the effective dose increase as well as reducing the size of field of view, and therefore one of the great areas was reduced in the effective dose CBCT. Not to listen. For students, can be read this ebook from craniofacial ED imaging. This is the view of the CBCT, can show the coronal, sagittal, and axial in the using the application. This is also from coronal and also from sagittal. The relation of the upper and the lower jaw, and also from vertebrae can also say. This is from axial also, and this is 3D. So the located of impacted canine. So the picture can be rotated. So for the slice, coronal, axial, and panoramic can show in the picture of the CBCT. This kind of facial 3D imaging can also learn or study in the e-book, A Current Concept of Orthodontic and Oral Facial Surgery. This is a picture of the impacted canine for the upper jaw. The impacted tooth position, the most recognized need post-CBCT imaging orthodontic is that the impacted canine evaluation. CBCT imaging is a process determining not only the labial lingual relationship, but also more exact angulation of the impacted canine. This is classification of the complexity of the impacted canine from the class 1, class 2, back. Seven classification. So the orthodontist or oral surgery can judge which kind of impacted can be retract for the treatment of the orthodontic, or what can be operate to extract the impacted canine. Why? Because the impacted canine is location to support the corner of the mouth, and is very, very important for the aesthetic, facial. This is the journal Influenza Impacted Maxillary Canine Orthodontic Traction Complexity of the Root Resorption of Incisor Retrospective Longitudinal Study. So the conclusion, the complexity of orthodontic traction of impacted maxillary canine is not risk factor for the greater root resorption of maxillary incisor close to the impaction area. This is the position of impacted canine, can show in the CBCT. This is Professor Vincent Kokich, yes, from USA, who came also to Indonesia a few years ago when the seminar of orthodontic, Indonesian Orthodontic Association. This picture, the impacted of the canine in labially, so can retract for the corner of the arch. How retract? Using the elastic, and also put the button in the labial of the canine and retract to occlusally. So if the canine is located in the buccal, it's very easy to retract to the arch. Sometimes the location of the impacted canine not only in labiale, but also in the palatally. So also can be retract and move to labiale very slowly. So can put the position to the arch, and then location of the located in the corner of the arch. And sometimes also they combine to retract the canine with the transpalatal arch to move distally, and then after that, and then retract to labially. This is the view of picture to put a bend, because the bend is very hard, not to using the bonding appliance, but using the bending appliance. This is my patient as the located of the canine in the labiale. So retract slowly to the location of the canine normally. So together we join with the oral surgeon, and then this is the result that the canine have been the position in the normal position. So planning for replacement TAD also is needed the CBCT. So can the precise of the location, the TAD when the put the safety in the interradicular. This also the picture. The CBCT data can be used to construct the placement guide for position meaning implant between the root of adjacent teeth anatomically difficult site. So needed the CBCT from Silva, Carla, and Tulika Therapy Priyarai. This is the journal. So for the resident must be careful, must to put the TAD clinically and then spread between arts between roots of the first premolar and molar, and there is located of the blanch of the gingiva. So very easy to put to place the TAD in the safe location. Insert the outcome of the mini screw placed into the palatal alveolar process between second molar and first molar from the coronal view and axial view. So this is my conclusion about this presentation. Some orthodontic patients can be benefit from CBCT capability to improve diagnosis and treatment planning. By requiring CBCT only when necessary, has a potential to reduce ionizing radiation exposed to orthodontic patients. CBCT can provide in selected case in which conventional radiography cannot provide sufficient information necessary for diagnosis and treatment planning. CBCT can provide orthodontists with a valuable diagnosis information, but its use should be case specific, in which the clinician should be able to justify the reason for CBCT acquisition. Thank you very much. This is my presentation.
Thank you very much, Professor Narmada. It's a very enlightening presentation. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So we're going to move the questions into the last session, if you may, Prof. Is it okay?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so we're going to go to the last presentation from Professor Takahashi from Kyushu University. At this moment, a professor is the professor and chair of the Orthodontics and Dentofacial Orthopedics section in Kyushu University, Faculty of Dental Science. Thank you very much, Professor Takahashi, for being here. And we really hope to have this, we're really looking forward for this presentation. And please, you may start the presentation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for introducing me. And thank you very much for inviting me to this wonderful meeting. Actually, I've learned a lot from your presentations. So today I'd like to talk about the present and the future of digital orthodontics in Kyushu University, especially related to the diagnosis of the patient. First of all, I'd like to introduce my presentation today. Our digital transformation were performed by 2 steps as shown here. First step happened in early 2010s when building of Kyushu University Hospital was renewed in 2005. X-ray images in all of the medical and dental fields were changed from analog to digital. Thus, we have changed the cephalometric analysis from analog to digital. And at the same time, we have tried to start partial digital analysis for the occlusal models. And the second step of the digital transformation is application of three-dimensional analysis for cephalometric and model analysis. We are just experiencing this second step right now. I'm going to discuss about these changes in the presentation, in this presentation. When I moved from Tohoku University to Kyushu University in 2009, the cephalometric images are printed out and analog tracing was performed. As I told you in the former slide, the cephalometric images have been already digitalized. Therefore, we have tried to use LCD pen tablets for cephalometric tracings as shown in these slides. And the in combination with the software for cephalometric analysis, such as WinCeph and Dolphin, two-dimensional digital cephalometric analysis and diagnosis could be achieved. After putting the cephalometric measuring points, linear and angular measurements performed by these softwares. Actually, computerized cephalometric analysis indicated here has been performed with cephalometric films and tracing papers. We can get the linear and angular measurements. Here I'm measurements. Here I'm indicating only a small part of the analysis. At the same time, model analysis was performed partially analog and partially digital. Since we need to take impression of the maxillary and mandibular dental arches, the images were scanned to make digital image and traced on the LCD tablet, similar to cephalometric analysis. Tooth size can be measured on the digital images. However, basal arch length and width and the basal arch width could not be measured on the two-dimensional digital images. Therefore, tooth size related analysis such as arch length discrepancies and tooth size ratios can be calculated on the software. However, some other measurement could not be measured on the computer. Our first step for partial digital analysis has been established by this way. Now I'd like to present clinical case analysis, clinical case analyzed in two-dimensional digital context. Here, you can see the facial and oral photographs of the patient. Both all these kind of the photographs are also the digital, and she is a 17 years, 2 months old female, which with the chief complaint of maxillofacial asymmetry. Actually, she had a canted occlusal line and also the deviation of the menton, like this. But actually, she had bidental protrusion on her profile and profile. As you can see, the level of asymmetry was not so severe for us orthodontists. And as I told earlier, we have digitally traced and analyzed the lateral cephalogram. And as a result, she had bidental protrusion. I mean that the inclination of upper incisors and lower incisors, and the maxillary incisor height and mandibular molar height was smaller than Japanese standard. By using template analysis for Japanese adult females, we have confirmed that the lateral soft tissue problems and the bidental protrusion of upper and lower incisors. Actually, soft tissue profile also showed upper and lower lip protrusion and low nose. On the posterior anterior cephalograms, facial midline was defined by using Crista-Gary, right and left LO point, right and left FR point, and right and left zygomatic point. And here we can see the facial midline. So she had inclined maxillary basal line and occlusal line and gonial line, and also apparent deviation of the menton to left right side. And also we can find that the asymmetrical inclination of the molars, like in the right side, we have more inclined molars when compared to the left. And the two sides are mostly in average. Actually, the we measured the size of the second molar, first molar to the other side of the molars. And these sides were almost average in Japanese. And we have also the average anterior tooth size ratio and overall tooth size ratio here. But important and interesting one problem is that the difference between the right and left side arch length discrepancy. As you can see, right molar, mandibular molar is in the forward position when compared to the left position, left molars. In summary, we can list the major problems of the patient as shown in the present slide. We usually classify the problems into 4 areas, such as functional problems, soft tissue problems, skeletal problems, and dental problems. She had a premature contact and at the right, first premolars leads mandible forward. And she had a soft tissue problems as I told you earlier. And she had skeletal problems with class 2 average face and skeletal mandibular asymmetry. And she had also the several dental problems. So by using these kind of the problem list, we have determined the treatment objective goal, treatment objective of the patient for the pre-surgical orthodontic treatment and surgical treatment. You can see the black line is initial, and the blue line is the treatment goal. And after making this blue line, we move the mandible by simulate the movement of the mandible by surgical treatment. Actually, you can see the amount of the movement of the bone is very small, and we cannot, usually we do not recommend surgical treatment for these kind of the patient. However, the problems of the present, this patient is asymmetry. The movement of the bones are not indicated in this kind of the lateral view. So 3-dimensional analysis and simulation is necessary for this kind of the cases. And in addition, we utilize two-dimensional digital images for occlusal treatment goals. As shown, molar asymmetry is corrected on the mandibular bone, and the dental midline is matched to the midline of the mandibular bone. And lingual dental compensation of the molars were decompensated in the simulation to treatment goal. You can see the movement of the molars inside, and this in right side, and the other side has not does not move the lateral direction so much. So we can imagine the treatment outcome by using this kind of the data, since we are professional orthodontists, but actually the patient is not able to understand what we are trying to do. So we need to further develop the three-dimensional analysis and simulation for these kind of the cases. So as I told you earlier, orthodontists can imagine the outcome of the treatment by combining 2D cephalometric and model analysis with 2D simulation. However, the patient must have difficulties to understand the expected results of the treatment. So patients may better understand the treatment objective by using 3D analysis and simulation. So now we are second step for the digital transformation. So so far we are using the helical CT to diagnose the patient. You can see here we can trace the cephalometric images derived from the CT images, and we can put the points here, and we can measure the linear and angular measurement as shown earlier. And also by using 3D CT data, we can easily understand, and we can easily explain how asymmetry is the level of the asymmetry to the patient. So you can see the asymmetry of the skeleton, dentofacial skeleton here, and also we can measure the difference between right and left structures. So this kind of the 3D measurement is very important for the case analysis. Now, so and then we are trying to simulate the treatment objective and treatment goal. So to do that, we have to disassemble the parts. So we remove the soft tissue and divide the bones, maxillary bone and mandibular bone, and each piece like this way. And also when we apply the orthodontic surgery, we set the surgical line for the dentomaxillofacial surgery. So, and by using this kind of the data, we can three-dimensionally make the setup. So you can move the teeth like this way, and we can determine the three-dimensional position of the teeth. at the teeth. And after at the same time, we can simulate the treatment goal in 3D context. So here I'm showing the one jaw surgery, the treatment goal of the one jaw surgery and two jaw surgery. You can put the midline of the face here, and when we apply one jaw surgery, we cannot correct the midline of the face. But actually, when we move, we apply the two jaw surgery, we can imagine, we can show the three-dimensional movement of the facial structure and skeletal structure and the soft tissue structures. Thus, digital transformation in orthodontics in Kyushu University is now progressing to the second step as shown here. And in the future, combined two-dimensional analysis and treatment simulation and outcome assessment will be developed. And I think that outcome assessment in the 3D context will be the most important digital transformation of the diagnosis of for the treatment of the malocclusion. Okay, thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Takahashi. It's a wow presentation, and the picture is really very good in the CBCTs. And that is the presentation from the 4 speakers. And please, the audience, if you want to ask questions, you may raise your hands, or maybe you can ask in Bahasa Indonesia so I can help you. Or maybe from the audience from University of Erlangga, the students from Prof. Narmada.
Super.
Yes.
Kita punya new resident 14.
Wow, 14 new residents.
Yes.
Wow, congratulations. So they must have questions, right, Prof? They have to have questions.
Tapi masih malu-malu mereka.
Okay.
Gak nyimak soalnya.
So, if I may have questions for you, Prof. Narmada, how often is the CBCT is used in your clinical work? So,
Yes,
in short, can we replace for 2D? Can we just replace it?
Yes, actually, the case must be selective. For example, if the skeletal asymmetry should be make CBCT, and also impacted canine, not only cephalometry and OPG, but also needed to make CBCT. So I can the decision for extract or retract in the arts.
Okay. So how about the money-wise, Prof? The money-wise. So considering yes, many radiographs should be taken compared to CBCT for that kind of case.
Yes, for the many you asked me.
The
For
money, the
money,
price, yes.
yes, because in our faculty have been available of the CBCT, and the price of for the patient is not so expensive to support by the research clinical center. So now I have a research clinical center. So a few of the students have make research from CBCT, like impacted canine.
So that is really terrific, Prof.
Yes, for the support of digital dentistry.
Yes.
So our dean to support digital dentistry, so the facility must be completely.
So congratulations for that. Thank you, Prof. Narmada. It's very
You're
good.
welcome. You're welcome. Thank you.
So Professor Takahashi, if I may ask questions.
Yes.
Could you please share the tips how to calibrate the data taken from the CBCTs? Because as we know, if we try to take data from cephalometry and then we can calibrate, for instance, the same devices, but if we have these CBCTs and there are so many CBCTs that, for example, here in Indonesia, so how can we calibrate that? How can we show that the calibration of the result of the CBCT can be taken as the data for the research?
Yeah, actually, I understand your questions, but actually, Kyushu University, we are using only one type of the CBCT. So we sometimes use a helical CT and sometimes use a CBCT. So as my standpoint, I only need to combine the data for cephalometric and the CBCT and the helical one, so which is not so difficult because we can put the scales or something like similar to scales into the images. So we can change the we can compare all those kind of the images. So I think this is not a good answer to your question, but actually we don't have any difficulties for the combination of the data. And also, I think that in the field of orthodontics, we don't need so severe accuracy, like we don't need 10 micrometer accuracy, right?
Right.
1 millimeter or 1.5 millimeter, which is not so severe to combine the data. So actually, I don't.
Because sometimes the reviewers might ask, do you calibrate the retrospective data that you've taken from the patient, something like that?
Yeah, I see.
But
yeah, no, okay, I understand. And for the longitudinal data, like some of the patient has only cephalometric data at the beginning of the treatment, and they are in 10 years after that they have the CT data. At that time, actually, the beginning of the using of the CT, we asked the patient to take both cephalometric data and also the CBCT data to calibrate all the data to the new data.
Oh, okay. That is a very good tips from you, Professor. Thank you very much.
Sure. Welcome.
So because of the time, I'm afraid we have to finish our meeting. Oh, sorry. Any questions? I'm sorry.
I have one more question. Dr. Maria.
Dr. Maria, I'm afraid she has to leave. Could you please send email or you can text me for the questions. She She has to go somewhere. I'm sorry. You can text me. Okay. Okay. So, yes, Prof. Narmada, do you have questions?
Dr. Sarisati, this webinar is finished. Is it finished?
Yes, we're almost finished. We're going to close.
Yeah, because I will left because
Yes. Yes.
Thank
So,
you very much.
Thank you very much. So
And
we're
also
closing the
from
meeting.
QSU, Professor Takashi. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you, Prof. Takahashi. Thank you very much, Prof. Narmada. Thank you very much, Dr. Eka. Unfortunately, Dr. Maria has left already. Dr. Aksa, thank you very much, Mr. Tunggu. So every committee. So we're going to close the meeting, and we hope that we have reached a lot of new knowledge and new insights. So maybe next year we can provide more and we can expand more about the topics. And we hope to see you again next year. And thank you so much. And we apologize if there's mistakes that we made. So I'm sorry. We're sorry. Thank you very much. And I'll see you then. Bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih para student. Terima kasih teman-teman.
Terima kasih,
Thank you so much,
Prof.
Yosito-san.
Narmada.
Terima kasih, Prof. Narmada.
Arigatou gozaimasu, Prof. Takahashi.